Ladies and gentlemen,
What are your qualifications?
boys and girls,
And he said, I'm great, but I used to smoke, but I gave it up because someone told me that it would take 10 years off your life.
now is the time where
And it keeps getting funnier every single time.
myself and Jim are going to speak.
And so the homeowner, he jumps up and he grabs one of the rocks and he
Not again.
there's a it's a walkout. Yeah, right. It's a walkout basement.
Every Friday night.
I hate this neighborhood so much.
Ta-da-da!
Well, Jim,
Look at that.
we're back.
Even with a week off, go take that summer trip. You know, told
what I
everyone
do.
we had a family emergency and
It's whatever. I make lies, so
Yeah,
going
over.
Into
I was in
Barbuda.
Wendover.
Did you make any money?
Well, no, not really. Nobody makes money in Wendover.
Did you make memories?
Well, yeah.
Forgetful.
I was mostly there for the dispensaries.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, for Grandma.
Obviously, 'cause that's the stuff that Grandma likes.
Grandma loves it. No, Grandma does like Wendover though. You ever?
That is one thing that I've known my entire life is
Yeah.
Grandma loves her Wendover.
Dude, if you want to just be like the greatest grandson ever, say, "Hey, I don't got nothing to do tomorrow. You want me to drive you over quick?" And she'd be like, "Yeah." Free lunches.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
If
No,
I
but
ever
we took a
free-
week. We
free
took
time.
a week. Had a family little scare there, but glad it turned out.
A-okay?
Yeah, man.
Or at
Well,
least
you know,
considering.
I talk like people, even though we are family. So
Yeah.
it was, well,
Oddly enough, most people don't ever get to that point. Like,
it's
oh,
because
you guys...
I made you stop calling me Uncle Jim.
Yeah, well, I had to do that. And anyways, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
What have you been up to?
I have been up to all I can think of is a room full of Mormon fraternity brothers watching the movie that you suggested. And I can't help but you've got to be Brady, I have questions and I can't wait till
I can't wait to talk about this.
Can't wait until we get to your dirty little you and your little fraternity brothers all watch together.
Is that all you have to talk to me about? Is that,
Well, that and it's good to see you. It's nice
good
to see
seeing you as well.
Anything happen on your side? Stuff come up. But I know you. When do you guys find out if you guys win or not?
So and that's a good point. A lot of people have been reaching out to me, which I'm really great. The drive, the
And
show.
you're like,
that
stop touching me.
the show that I do daily.
Your day job.
That gives us the opportunity to have this. It was nominated for best radio show,
Not sports show.
not sports show, just radio show.
And
so
you guys
it's
have only been doing it. Well, he's 6 months, and you've been doing it for 4
4,
months. So
yeah.
you got nominated for best show in 6 months.
It's crazy, and
That's
like
rad, dude.
we were
it's awesome.
like
dude.
for an example, radio show from hell, X96,
Yeah.
great radio show they
yeah.
do
And they've been doing it forever.
forever. They also got nominated.
Yeah.
That's the only other just because they're under the umbrella.
Well, I think it's so cool. I brag about it. I'm not even have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, yeah.
Well, Jim, you do get name dropped every now and then.
Yeah, I sure do. Well, and
on the back, you should put that on your resume.
Well, I feel I also have helped you with because you. Where else do you get more
Yeah,
radio
true.
time than with me?
It's true. Like the practice.
So I'm gonna take that
definitely you
like
should.
a proud uncle.
Yeah, the development of the show and it's funny, and this is going to be a great transition. And shows the growth of the show. Is that the growth of the show got to a point where we, it just started out as us, just kind of just talking, and
When
like
people are all-
our
we ask them
family,
to come in.
our
People-
family members would be the ones that would be listening every week.
And everyone's like, no, that time doesn't work for me. How about Saturday? Can we do it
I was
Saturday?
like, no, you come on our time. And, yeah, and it got to a point where slowly just kind of got more people interested, and we got to a point where we, dropping a significant amount of listeners every week, and but we've always had like in the industry on the show,
Yep.
and people that you knew that in your connection in your wheelhouse,
My friends.
and then all of a sudden, I got an email, a text, not even text, a direct message.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
because the first thing you did is before you responded, you're all like, "Yo, who is this dude?"
and I remember I screenshot it and sent it. And I was like, I have no idea who this person is.
Because we do get now we get weird random people trying to sell us stuff.
Advertise with us.
Can I come on your show and sell blah blah blah? And
and I'll read the text. It's a, hey, movie hour. My name is
That's
Nick
us.
Jensen. I'm a local guy. I grew up in Layton, Oh, I probably shouldn't have said where you. Oh well. And went to UVU. I recently started directing my first feature-length film, All Hallows
Girls Gone Wild.
All Hallows Eve, which is sponsored by the Utah Film Commission. I'm a big fan of the show and a big fan of movies. I would love to come on the show and discuss the film in Utah if you guys care to have me. And we said no.
We crushed this dude. We're like good enough to get on our show.
So how many?
Have you heard our list of guests? We've had Oscar winners on this show.
We've had Oscar winners.
I mean, heck no, you can't get on this show.
But he
got in anyway.
He got in anyway. And we had an opening today.
Back door.
And we bring him in. Nick, how are you?
I'm good. After being outside your guys' doors
right?
and bothering
Stalking.
you, I finally got in. Now everybody knows my hometown, which is always exciting.
I finally started leaving a bowl of water out back. I'm like, all right, he's a good
which
guy.
was awesome. You know, it's cold. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be dehydrated.
He's a good
out
guy,
there.
good
The
guy.
great land of Layton, you know.
Look at you hit them T's.
Yeah.
You know who my mother is?
Uh-huh, I know.
Yeah.
It's not like in...
She
not
would,
like
she would have a phone book.
I have a buddy that hits the T's so hard that sometimes it's like over hit him. Like it's like, okay, dude, come
Mountains?
on. That's
Yeah, you
through
make
the
it
point.
its own
It's,
syllable.
it's to the point where you sound like an. Just
You're
let it,
trying
yeah,
hard.
you're like, shut up, dude.
But yeah, it's Nick. How in the world did you find us?
So I found you first, Brady, and I know that sounds really creepy and uncomfortable.
He reached out to you.
But I found you through Spence Checkets.
Got it.
I'm
Okay.
I'm a big Spence Checkets guy. You know, I think he's one of the best in the business. Obviously, that goes without saying. And then he semi-sarcastically mentions your podcast
Yeah,
pretty
every now and
often.
then.
though.
Yeah, every now and then.
I was like,
But he doesn't need to do that even.
yeah, I know. It's
It's
like,
like
generous.
it's really.
He talks about Uncle Jim.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If he
Uncle
didn't,
Jim's got a character.
if he didn't want to have anything to do with the show, he just would ignore us.
Yeah, well, I imagine sarcasm is love language.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is definitely. And he followed us on Instagram too.
Did he? Yeah.
no,
Well, he asked you about just this week. He's all like, "Oh, I asked Jim what he thinks about this movie."
Oh yeah, and that's a good point. Which Office Space, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we've gotten to the point where Jim's this kind of mysterious like person. Whenever I don't know anything about movies,
He just asks me.
Spence like, all right, just text him to tell him to.
Does he like Office Space?
Oh, yeah, he loves
Yeah,
Office
that's like
Space,
it's a brilliant film. Because if he didn't, I have some. I'm like he's wrong. So it's okay to be wrong.
No, he so he asked him about his movie takes, and usually Jim and Spence's movie takes
Pretty
are
close. We're like
pretty
the same
aligned.
age.
So
We got a kid like the same age. And
yep, it's
yeah.
true. You do. So, well, welcome, Nick. You also brought an entourage
I did. I brought my composer, Adam Olenkowski. So
of this movie.
Questions.
Remind me the name of it because I'm going to keep looking it up.
it's All Hallows Day Eve.
Day Eve. You didn't put day.
No, I
All
didn't.
Hallows Eve.
So now I have questions though. So
I have answers.
How many films have you made? Short films, anything?
So I did I did 2 while in college. I didn't finish either of them, so that should be
So you didn't do any.
huge vote of confidence. I filmed
What do you normally shoot on? What are you shooting this on?
so for this one I actually had a budget, so we actually shot it.
What was your budget?
It started at about $65,000. It's ballooned since, but we're looking at probably roughly around 80,000 of
That's
instead.
like in the can with the edited, composed,
Yeah, it's not-
everything.
Yeah, my assistant director and I we did a lot of guerrilla filmmaking in college. That was kind of our thing. So that's sort of what we applied here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of run and gun. It's very quick turnarounds. You use a lot of
You say that, but in a minute, I'm going to challenge you to something.
Oh, it sounds
So
good.
we'll see how guerrilla it is.
Yeah.
So are you more of a writer? Are you more of a? Did you write this?
So I semi-wrote this. I had a co-writer. So
You got a lot of like little semi partners, don't you?
a lot of them. That's the secret to all of this.
Yeah, no, you need help. That's
you need
anyone that
Yeah.
if you see a directed by, starring, edited, I'm like you're nobody wants to work with you.
Yeah, you just age horribly.
Just a gray
Or
beard.
just like, why don't you just say, I made this movie, aren't I wonderful, and put your name on.
That's what happened if my mom made the credit sequences. Look at
I always think my mom.
But so how it kind of happened, we actually have a producer who's financing. It's actually his passion project. His name's Jim Lucas. He's a BYU guy, but he's an attorney in Manhattan now. So
What?
I know. And he's been working on this story for decades. I mean, he's been working on this for 20 years.
Mhm.
It was kind of his passion project, and he got in contact with me originally to write the script. So he had treatment, but I call it a treatment, but it was like 28 pages.
Yeah, that's not a treatment.
Yeah, he'd really like developed this out.
For those that don't know what a treatment is, basically is that you'll have different versions when you do your pitches. Your treatment is your basic like paragraph, maybe 2 of this is what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah. Maybe these are the characters.
Something to give the idea, so when they read it, called a treatment, and it's not 26 pages.
It was just very detailed, but he kind of thought like, can't we film it off of this? And I was like, it's not quite a script yet.
Oh, Jim.
I had it off. I swear, I guess I must have pushed down and not off.
All right.
I'm a professional.
I'm just only in our like 43rd episode, whatever.
Are we that far in?
Yeah.
Can't count either.
Okay.
Happens.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, he had done it, and then he and I kind of worked together over a few months and developed it into a full feature length.
And how did you get Utah Film Commission to pass off on it? Because we already only have so much tax dollars, and we only can commission so many films a year. Yeah. So how did you get one of those?
They decided when I told them I'm bringing a New York lawyer's money into the state of Utah. Usually in film, the flow is the opposite way. It's like things, and they're like, New York to here, like sign up. And another thing we really tried to promote to them is, besides our producer, I mean, he's a natural Utah, but we're all Utahns. You know, all my crew are locals. I really, through college, very heavily like recruited people here. And that was something big. So I was like, I want to do this in Utah. This should be done. You know, this is my home state. And they really enjoyed that.
So is it shot?
Yes, it is.
When's it going to be done?
That is a great question.
Because you haven't finished any others.
Yeah. Oh, this one, we actually, so our goal is to have it done by the end of April.
Okay.
That's our current, deadline.
Okay.
That deadline's been pushed a couple times. But
oh.
Right, that's like our end of April. We're going to be there. But we're
okay. Then what are you going to do with it?
Ready by the summer.
And now that's my final. What's the plan? I know everyone. If you say Sundance, I'm going to come over there and smack you. That would be great if you get into Sundance. But what's your plan for it?
That's our shoot for the stars is Sundance. But that's every Utah's shoot for the stars. Our producer, who's handling a lot of the distribution. I'm not a business guy at all. I studied creative writing. But he's got some different.
I have a useless degree.
Yeah.
I have 3 useless degrees.
Somebody's made her return to the show, but
who is it? Yeah, she don't have.
So I'm not going to give her the introduction until she's
but
back.
Tambi
next
is back.
Week.
Tambi is in the
back.
corner.
She is here. She's.
If she just sits here in the corner. She wants to fight Uncle Jim so bad.
We will have her return next week once we're back in the big studio and she has a microphone to talk.
But it is awesome to have her. I'm actually kind of excited because she's one of the few people no problem coming right back at me. I love it.
It's true, she is. But continue on your.
Okay, now finish your unfinishable movie.
Yeah, his strategy. It's a lot of grassrooted theater releases. So start small, get into a couple theaters. Mm-hmm. I personally, I think we should try the festival route. Sundance is out there, but I mean there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of film festivals out.
Just put it up on Film Festival, and you just basically, I would start with the smaller ones, just to see if it has any legs, see if it has viewership. Because if you can't get into the smaller ones, then you know by if it goes boom boom and you're just going straight, you're like, okay, let's take it up to the next one. Exactly. You'll know just by the price point what there are, and then if it'll dictate to you how far you should take it with it. But if it's I'm going to move to L.A. Well, why are you moving to L.A.? Well, I can't book anything in Utah, so I'm gonna go. I'm like, yeah, dude, that might be no.
If you can't book in Utah, then you.
Yeah, if you can't book, I think that you're gonna go to L.A. and start booking. That's what I would tell you to do. The Film Freeway, is that what it's called? Or I would start there, start small, just see what happens.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, a lot of our game plans.
Because Sundance isn't necessarily, they might not even watch, like there's been rumors that people have sent in, with the money, sent them submissions with blank tapes, and they'll get the response, thank you so much, and they haven't even watched it.
Well, and it's, you would think like, oh yeah, we're locals, it should play to our advantage. We went up there this last year.
They don't care about you.
And they introduced us to a director, and he was the first Utah director to get featured in dramatic competition in Sundance history. I'm like, so
Sundance does not care about the local market whatsoever.
Yeah, that's not what their priority is. I mean, obviously, I don't care how big I got it in the film industry. It'd be awesome to get into Sundance. So that's always the shoot for the moon. Like, hey, why not Sundance?
Yeah, those are my questions. What do you got, Brady?
Yeah, I was just I'm excited to see. You seem very like you know so much about this. You obviously graduated from UVU.
I haven't graduated yet.
Oh,
Have you finished anything?
If you would ask my high school history teacher, Mr. Hopkins, no, I haven't finished
Shout out to
anything.
Mr. Hopkins.
Mr. Hopkins.
So, what got you into this? What are you studying in first off?
So I'm studying creative writing, minoring in film.
Got it. So
that's kind of the two prongs. I love to screenwrite, but also
I'm assuming you and I are fairly similar in age. I'm 25. How old are you?
I'm 25.
So
Look
at
at us.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Sitting here.
I'm 22.
Yeah. You look like a ripe age 22-year-old.
I've had a rough 22 years.
So wanting to do this, what was your like? Oh, I'm gonna start making movies.
I'm gonna make movies.
I'm gonna go because I graduated with broadcast journalism, and to be a sports race or just in sports journalism in general, it's very a thin line. Very few people get to do it. So I understand
Throw it in, hope it works.
I understand the bet on yourself thing. So what was your whole mindset with this?
Yeah, it wasn't always my plan. I mean, it was always something I was like, oh, how cool would that be? I actually kind of grew up around the industry. My mom was a still photographer in the Utah film market for, 35, 40 years.
Okay.
And I'm the youngest child by a lot, so I was alone at the house with her. So I used to go on sets with her a lot. And I remember just seeing that whole production process.
Which sets? What are you talking about? Like, which sets have you been on?
Like
when you're a
sets
kid,
or
the film production sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like which ones? That's what me and my brothers. We've been like. I'll bet you were on a lot of those. Which ones?
Yeah, we did. Right Temptation with Kiefer Sutherland, which, I mean, these are all way back. Daddy Day Camp with Cuba Gooding Jr. My mom was the still photographer on that.
Daddy Day Camp. Is that the very bad sequel to
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was, and he was a they had a whole
I love Daddy Day.
He almost got into the news a couple times with his acts up there, Mr. Cuba Gooding.
Because it wasn't Eddie Murphy.
It was Cuba Gooding and multiple Razzie Award nominations, which is
congratulations.
That's a badge of honor.
No, I said that out loud, the bad sequel, but I was like, I hope it's like everyone knows
the movie's crap.
Yeah, okay.
And then last one I did was actually a National Lampoon movie that filmed here called Bag Boy, which if you guys get to see, it's a very inappropriate, not as an inappropriate watch to get ready for.
Yeah,
this.
what's up with that?
Okay.
But yeah,
I just keep thinking them Mormon fraternity brothers sitting around watching that.
They weren't all Mormon at the time.
I honestly, when I thought you were messing with me. Like we're like,
right.
we'll throw this out there and see if he actually watches.
So in the we've been ghosted once, where our guest just disappeared. Like we were like, hey man, you coming on? You ready? And he's like, yeah, today doesn't work for me. How about, like at the last second? I said, yeah, that doesn't work like that. And so he contacted, he's like, please, can I come back? I really want to get on your show.
Hoping to scare you away.
And the next open spot was April 1st. And I'm like, okay, but it's
nice.
it's April. And he's all like, if you're
before, I really enjoy the fact that you're kind of taking this risk on yourself. I'm always appreciative, and our entire family is about taking risks on ourselves. So,
despite
if we should or not.
Yeah, everyone's like,
I learned that from my uncles for what it's good for good or bad. And so I appreciate when anyone else goes out and does that themselves.
Before I decided to do it, I was pre-law at Westminster. So
Tammy was going to go to Westminster at one point.
It's lovely. It's very
liberal.
Down from its tuition to its cafeteria, it's very expensive.
Oh yeah, insanely expensive.
So my parents are like, "Oh yeah, he'll be an attorney," and I was like, "I want to make movies," and I am thankful every day for
movies that I worry about and spend all this time on that nobody watches.
So that's awesome, Nick. And we got to talk about this. You're not gonna be able to input because you didn't get to watch it, unfortunately.
Let me hurry. I just want to.
Yeah,
so there's something that I'm starting up, and it looks like it's actually going to happen. So I recently with my little brother. So I'm lucky that I have a big brother and little brother that they won't work for anyone else for free. So it's not really fair. So it's kind of. But what I did was basically went to my brother's house with no concept, just my phone and my little laptop that I can do some editing on. And an hour later, we had the concept shot. Another hour after that, I had the rough cut, and then basically within 4 hours, finished an entire short that's turned out to be really good. And a lot of
you can finish things.
And I did it in a time. And so a lot of my other filmmaker friends say, "Okay, I saw your short and I thought it was funny. I didn't know the backstory behind it. He's like, next time, are you going to do more of those? I'm like, well, yeah, I had a lot of fun. A couple more. He goes, next time you do it, I want in. And so now what I want to start doing is I'm going to have 3 or 4 filmmaker friends at a time. We're going to show up at one location, no concept. You bring whatever you have to shoot, whatever you have to edit, and I'll bring
childhood filmmaking.
And I'm going to bring my own, like, some actors that can improv and like and also act. So you don't have to worry about that. We split up the act, decide whatever the theme is. You have 5 hours to turn your movie in.
Oh, nice.
Can you do it?
Oh,
See, that's like,
absolutely.
See what I'm saying?
Sign me
That's
up.
what I'm saying. That's what it's like. One of those things where and it's like, well, can I bring a crew? If you got time for it, like if you want to shoot in 4K and bring a lighting crew, okay,
5 hours.
you got 5 hours not just to shoot it, to get it edited and turn it in.
Yeah, I love it. I love
And
it.
then
Trust God.
everyone's like, well, what's it for? Fun.
Well, that's funny because that's really kind of how I kind of got into filmmaking in a way when I was a little kid. Like me and my buddies would just be sitting at our house.
Yeah.
And we'd have a camera, and we just
Put it together.
let's just shoot something, whatever, and whatever comes to our mind. It's what we did. We didn't have a script or anything. We just
Luckily, I have Uncle Nate, so I was just yelling at him. I'm just yelling messed up stuff to him, and I cut myself out, and he's just answering me. I fixed it, but it turned out really well. But a lot of people they want to get in on it, and I'm all like, just for fun, we're going to do it. So I know you got this to be finished, but we're going to probably start up in March with a few of my buddies, and it's just going to be like a weekend thing, and I'll invite you one of these weekends, and it's going to be cool for the actors. It's going to be cool for the director, but it's just literally. And then if later, I don't care about copyright. I don't care about any of that stuff. Just finish it, and then later, if you like it, you can go back and or I'm like, hey, dude, your idea was great. And so if you look at those, whenever you see those ones, I don't even give myself director or writing credit. I just say it was made by and give everyone the same credit, because when you're an hour shoot and it's basically, I need my actor to be just as whatever. Give me something. Go.
You're on screen. Hold a boom
Yep.
mic.
I didn't even use. I used my iPhone. Put it right in his face, so I didn't need to, and that was it. That's all I did.
There you go. I love it.
And
No,
it was-
I would love to do something like
And
that.
I'm all, you want to do 4K? Let's just think of the download time. And then one buddy's like, well, I got to get all the way to such and such to edit. I'm all, that's your time, dude. I don't care where you edit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's like, I mean, I love stuff like that because that's the serious at all. Just keep creating.
Just
Yeah.
make
Doesn't matter
it.
what weird.
Well,
if
and-
it doesn't work,
and-
it doesn't work.
and then do another one. But
Yeah,
every
just
once
keep
in a
going.
while, you hit that boom, like what? And then you have all these other filmmakers around you going, dude, that's awesome. What if we did this and this and this? And you can always go back and work on it again, or even reshoot it different way.
And,
Well,
you,
and
and you learn so much in doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and-
It's like there's no way to really sit.
Yeah.
You know, I studied in school, but learned more in one production day. Like, oh wow.
Well,
this is
because
what
I
it
was
is.
I was a lot of the time directing, right? I got asked to be filmed, and because of my time frames, and so because I hate 18-hour shoots. There's no reason for them. I hate the 48-hour film festival because people stay up for 2 days when they don't need to, and so I would always budget stuff. So if basically I'd always, when anyone does one of my shoots, like I tell you, you're going to be here on set this time. If we're shooting at this time, and I tell you we're going to wrap 4 hours later, and like you're not shooting this in 4 hours. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's interesting because Jim and I have been there. He is again.
Gemini.
He's back. No, but we've been talking about the next phase of the podcast is to kind of start creating a production company in a way. So we're releasing like the movie hour.
Yeah, that's what I want to use the
Production-
movie hour to kind of turn it
production
into a movie
company,
hour thing. Yeah.
Presents shorts, and then because him and I have been bouncing shorts back and forth between the two of us, just
We like to pass shorts back and forth.
of ideas, and
He's
just
a little bigger than me, so they're a little tight.
around the way. But there's some ideas there that we're really excited
And
about.
then that's a good way to like hash them out. But anyways, I didn't mean to take a lot of time on that, but that's just something. So when people say that I'm a filmmaker, and I'm like, okay, you, and a lot of people are like, yeah, I think so, and I'm like,
We'll see.
because and I'm not trying to out, but after 5 hours of everything done, most likely either you're going to be like, man, I tried real hard, or they're going to turn that around and say, Jim's I didn't do it. Like I'm not the reason why you failed.
Yeah, exactly.
You got 5 other film crews in the same location too. Remember that.
You're a failure. Jim. Before we go on into the next part of this show,
We got a special advanced screening.
yes, our friend of the show, J.R. Curtis, who came on, I believe, back in October.
He's 22.
Yep.
He's got his own published already.
Yep.
I bought it and
Yep.
I read that.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Like I read some of the reviews and people are like, I just can't tolerate the F word. I don't know why they use that word. And I'm just like, okay. But yeah, it was actually, and even more, he's just his age and he just got done directing his first short film.
First short film,
And
Satanico.
he let us, I call it Satan Co.
Satan Co. Is it just it's Satan?
You know how it starts? How it starts and the letters start popping up like Alien?
Yeah.
And it goes Satan Co. and the last letter is the
I.
I. So
Okay.
that's why I just call it Satan Co.
Now I'm just picturing like Satan having
Yeah,
like,
the eyes
Oscar
are ash.
just down. It's like welcome to Satan Co.
Right.
Where
And
you
but
get
no,
the
so
best
now
products
he
in the-
let if we would be interested in watching. And I said, okay, but I said we're not gonna just if you want us to talk about it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But we're not if it sucks, I'm gonna make fun of you.
And
I actually I like a lot of it. There's some really good. I mean, obviously, you could tell there's he couldn't handle. I mean, not handle, but just from the cold.
yeah,
Like the blood came out pink at one point that you could tell. I mean, at that point, there's nothing you could do.
yeah.
And then the guy who was the DP's playing the character. I'm like, so you had to kill him off quickly so that he could hold. Right?
Interesting. I didn't even think of that.
Someone's got to hold the camera, but all in all, because we can't really go into it, I'm really proud of him because he's doing it. A lot of people talk about what they're going to do, and he's doing it. And at 22, he's got it done, and he's got a pretty good little product there, and he's going to be able to at least get some of the film fests.
And our friend Rad is also in this.
Aaron Radel was in it.
Which I was funny when I chuckled.
I love him.
Yeah, I was texting him today because he was just reminding, hey, just when you
Hey man, watch
show,
it. Yeah, and okay.
just to
Are you
talk
gonna
about
watch
it.
that? Pretty good. I'm like, he's real busy. I don't know, man. You gonna watch that?
Yeah, so I watched it the day that he sent it, so but I remember watching it. It's like, wow, this is really fascinating because like
shot well.
Yeah,
it looks
and
good.
It looks very nice. I told him the only thing that I would say is like I wish the passage of time was kind of there's more to that. Sometimes it'd cut from like day, then suddenly it's night.
Right. But it didn't seem like normally when someone sends me a short film, Jim, will you watch my short? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Send it to me, and it says anything over like 3.5 minutes. I'm like, oh man. And this was like 17 minutes.
Yeah,
and I was like,
pretty long one.
dude, because sometimes 17 minutes is just ever when you're watching a short. I mean, 4 minutes on a short film sometimes is like,
And I believe he composed this himself too,
Yeah.
which is
he does his own
impressive.
music and wrote it and stars in it. And I'm like, and it's hard to not only because I don't ever in movies that I write about me. I just hire one of my brothers, but they're always about me. I don't put myself in them, and it's hard to act and direct.
Yeah.
And so I'll give him hats off to that too.
Whenever you get the chance to Satanico, when he lets us share it, we'll be sure to share it on our
But
page.
he's excited for it, and it looks like they got some opportunities behind it. But everyone. That's exciting to me. Is it's not people want to make movies or people talking about making movies. It's people making movies, and I don't give a
and then
crap.
coming on our show and
Yeah.
saying that they're going to make
Yeah.
movies, and then we're like, all right, follow through. with
Make
it.
a
And
movie,
then-
win an Oscar, and then did.
yeah, I don't know if you know that story at all, and I love telling you because it's
rad.
So I go and see Angry Birds 2.
And I made fun of him, killed him for it.
With the short.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't
Yeah.
go. He wanted me to go with him. I'm like, no, I'm not going to 2.
Oh, come on.
It used to be.
It's great.
You ever
Did you
feel?
see Angry Birds 2?
No.
I'm
Okay,
always like,
like,
if you
nobody has.
think your life like down in the gutter, just know that Angry Birds 2 theatrical release.
And it was
Somebody
good.
made a bunch of money for making that
and
movie.
it was good. But yeah, so it was just a weird like scenario where I got in touch with that director. He came on the show and we asked him, so are you like, I know like you're gonna want this to go up for awards, or like petition this to go up for maybe an Oscar run at the end of the year. And he's like, oh, we'll see.
I would like that. That'd be
Well,
great. But
I'm
I'm
a competitive guy. Like I'd like to
You
go.
talk to it like we talk about maybe getting into Sundance.
Yeah, and lo and 6 months later, or however
He was
long
on the
it was,
finalist.
he was a finalist, and then he was there, and he gave a speech on Sunday, and I was like, "Hey, I had that guy's phone number." Yeah. So,
And now he won't return our
now
calls.
Now
and-
he's been going on like all the national radio shows.
But
and-
with that, it's nice because with that, because as the show grows and our reach grows, I'm also now I can start calling my friends town, and I can because now that we can see those, like they're starting to go, okay, well that time frame, like no, me and Brady will find a time when we'll record your interview, and then we can play it later. But can we get minutes of your time? And they're like, yeah, that'll work. And now I'm starting to reach out to some of the much bigger names, and even them are saying, yeah, Jim,
Let's do it.
I'll find time. So
Let's do it.
and so now me and Brady got to find a time when we can see interviews. But it's like it's pretty cool when you get like people like C. Thomas Howell call you back and say, yeah, man, I'm in.
There you go.
Dang, what a plug there, Jim.
Yeah. Woo.
See Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
Said he'd do it, so I'm gonna hold him to it.
So we hope to have the same situation with your movie when you finish.
Same.
Like, we'd love to talk about it and like we have an audience now where people actually like to come on and listen to us weekly. So
And friends.
now mom and friends, not just
And
mom.
now my mom and her friends.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
look at us go.
Hi, mom's.
See,
Hi,
we
mom's friends.
we come off of and portray like, oh no, come on our show,
Yeah.
and like we'll broad audience,
Yeah.
but really we're like parasites.
We really are.
we want your followership.
we need what you have.
So
I was
speaking-
telling him before. I said, well, we used to try and just focus on just the interviewing you for the first 35 minutes and just really focus on it. I said, but then we found like not all filmmakers can also. And we learned real on that when we scheduled a 35-minute and you can't help us fill that, it would kill our show. So now we kind of talk. If you can talk, we'll talk back with you. But then we'll go to the next thing. And if you don't have anything to say, we'll steamroll you.
Yeah, just
You just aren't on the episode anymore.
you're just like there, and
Guys, I was there. I promise.
He's in the room.
I was in the room. You're like Tammy in the back here.
He takes
And Adam.
pictures. I prove it.
She's
And
back there
Adam.
taking notes of all the stuff she's going to fix.
Speaking of which, now that Tamby's here, we're gonna have to do a better job at. So that's gonna be her job, making sure that our social media is better.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like-
that stuff's great. I've been telling you. I've been telling you all
our
sorts of stuff.
Instagram is actually pretty like it's like a good. It's got a good ratio.
I would love to have
Followers
someone do
to-
that, help us, with some of the drops and plugs that we've been talking about. Like I think,
I'll train her.
yeah, get her
Do you want to
get
do
her
my
trained
social
up.
media too. That would be great.
So we had a week off. So did you get to watch? I asked you to watch the entire film in the Coen.
Coen Brothers.
No,
watched
the reason why I did that is because I
Wanna
can talk
watch.
about any of
Yeah.
them, from my favorites to my least favorites. Even my least favorites aren't terrible
Mm-hmm.
films, but I can talk about any of their films, and so I say as many as you can, and I will be willing to talk about any of them. So how many of them did you get to watch?
I watched The Big Lebowski last week.
Sweet.
Just because I really love The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
So I wanted to rewatch it. I didn't too many after that. I'm actually I've seen a few other ones off the top
So
of my
we're
head.
going to talk Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski. He's seen a bunch too.
No, I know
So
I can't. Yeah, I know, but it was more for you. I
Yeah.
know he as soon as he heard that, he's all like, but I wanted to see because it's something as you get better at the film and you start watching different kind of movies. Because now I'm going to start asking you, Brady, who are your filmmakers? Who's your favorite? Not your favorite movies anymore.
Yeah.
But what filmmakers do you like watch? Like right now, I'm going to ask you. So, which filmmakers do you follow? Like if they make a movie, doesn't matter who watch it.
Whew, that's tough. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about them today. The Coen Brothers
Yeah.
are excellent, just excellent what they do.
They're chameleons too. They don't have like Wes Anderson. You can tell
Buster
it's a Wes
Scruggs.
Anderson movie.
Yeah, there's something very Wes Anderson.
Coen Brothers
about
can go Western.
We've done the
comedy.
Ballad of you weren't here, but the Ballad of Buster Scruggs was one of my suggestions.
Yeah.
it. Well,
When Mike was our guest.
I was here with Uncle Mike.
Were you?
Yeah, and I talked about Ballad of
Okay,
Buster Scruggs.
never mind. I thought it was Dave. I
Well,
can't
who
remember.
else?
my absolute people who are like, it's like my two-man Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. Aaron Sorkin's right there. Just everything. That's the nerdy writer in me.
Yeah.
Anything I'm there. It's Aaron
Yeah,
Sorkin.
his specialty is his writing.
Oh yeah, it's just brilliant stuff. And then Adam McKay.
Yeah, okay.
I absolutely love Adam McKay.
The comedian that turned all the cool.
Yeah, I'm like, that's everything.
How
I've
did
ever
that
wanted to
happen?
be. Oh, it's just such because life got funny enough.
Yeah, and also because when he came out with his dramatic one a couple of years ago with about the housing Big Short, I went. At first, I was like, "What's he doing?" And then I watched it, and I saw how his comedy came through on such a serious point, and I'm all like, "Okay, that's actually." And then because of him, now like this year we had a Bombshell. The year we had every year now since he came out with that political thing. Then we had Vice. Then we had like
which is also him. Which is also Adam
every
McKay,
year now there's one of those scandal things, and he started that. So
it's just
that's awesome.
brilliant.
So
And I
Brady,
think
you need
there's
to start
something
having your
very-
favorite filmmakers.
I have a few that I do have.
like
And
who would you put up there?
right now, I would, and he only has 3 movies, but I've loved all 3 of them that he's done. Ryan Coogler. I mean, I love all the 3 movies that he's put out.
That's I got different tones. So I got new filmmakers, and like
Damien Chazelle is another one that every movie that I've seen of his, I thoroughly enjoy. Whiplash, La La Land.
well, you heard what I did this whole week while I was in waiting rooms. I watched Enemy, and I watched Dune 2047, and all of a sudden I watched all of Dennis's. All of his every film because he's French Canadian, so the first 3 films he has are in French, and I haven't seen those ones yet. But other than that, I watched all of his entire library, and I was like, oh, okay. And in a week, and I was like, wow, I didn't even like set out to do that.
Yep.
And I was started reading about it, and I'm like, now I want to know, because he made his first 2 films in French. And then he took 9 years off because he was so disappointed with the movies that 9 years off before he made his next film. And I'm all like, I didn't even know. So now I want to go back and find out who takes 9 years off and then comes back and now has every Dune.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve, he was going to be up there as well. You know, Arrival, Sicario, Blade Runner 2049.
I love Alex Garland. I love what he's doing.
Alex Garland's another one. I love Jordan Peele. I like what he's doing. He's kind of
Talking about
revolutionary.
comedians that make a transition.
Right.
Wow.
That whole
See, and this is, and that's talking movies. That's what I'm saying. And like a year ago, this conversation.
Yeah, it's true. To my benefit of growing in this.
Quentin Tarantino, but then you go, like the Godfathers of them, your Scorsese's and your Spielberg's and your
or Francis Ford Coppola. If you're going to talk Godfather,
you're like
another person that we've had a few of his movies that we've talked about is definitely Chef.
Favreau.
John Favreau.
When I'm at the point now where anytime I see a Baumbach film, I'm like, oh, how many monologues are going to be in that thing? And I'm immediately, I already know. I'm like, that's going to be dialogue, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes.
I would say Tammy's favorite director. I'm speaking for her at this point, but Saoirse Ronan is, not director. I'm sorry, the director
Greta
of
Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig. Sorry, she's always in. Saoirse Ronan is always in Greta Gerwig movies. Did Little Women? Yeah.
Did she do Lady Bird?
She did do
Lady Bird and Brooklyn, and so
Brooklyn.
So a lot of those.
Excellent.
Hey, what's not to love with Greta Gerwig though? She's got an aesthetic that's just pops to the eye so much.
Well, I really liked what they did with Little Women, even though I have a different take on it. But I really liked it because if you're going to retell a movie, if you're going to retake a movie, like it's been done before, so why would you do it again? And I liked how they took it where, as she's writing it, you got to see it. As she's making it, as her publicist is making her make changes, and yet so you could see what she was changing it to. Yes, you don't need to raise your hand, Tammy.
What would you like, Tam?
Yeah, they combined the story.
Yeah. So they combined the story. She combined the story of Louisa May Alcott, the author of Little Women.
Mm-hmm.
They combined her real life story into the real.
Yeah, so it's not just
story.
Another retelling of Little
like
Women, but it is. But I like the fact that they would go back and show you how it got done.
Note to Louisa.
Yeah, I thought, and I had nothing in common with anything in the movie.
That's all right.
It was really, I really liked the way they. If you're gonna do a retake or a remake or anything like that, like Terminators, I'm really pissed off that they can't. Terminator, stop making it bigger. Start over and make it into a horror film again.
Yep. And to kind of go along with that, one of my favorite movies from 2 years ago, Bumblebee, the director Travis Knight, those directors that.
When you mean you can actually tell which Transformer actually was?
Yeah, it was who, and they actually had. But I enjoy Travis Knight. I think that he's a great director. And the Two Strings, and then he got Bumblebee.
Yeah, that is actually Kubo was really cool.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, one of those animated films. Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen Kubo, that's the one that's been on your Netflix forever, and it looks like art, but it's like what? And it's awesome.
Yeah, and that gave him Bumblebee, and now he's working on the $6 billion Man, which I'm intrigued.
See, I want to make you know how because it started with the one, right? You remember the $1 Million Man? I want to redo $1 Million Man and call it $1 Million Man, but all of his parts are just crap, and it keeps breaking down on him, and
like a moderately wealthy.
It's just like, he can't all. It's like his arm just stops working because it's crap technology.
After taxes, I'm only the $600,000 man.
Well, and
another plug himself in.
Another director that I like from my childhood. I was raised watching these movies, obviously, so they will have a nostalgia factor to it. But now he's directing one of my most anticipated movies, Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man
2 is one of my favorite movies of all time, let alone superhero movies of all time.
When I was in rehab, they kept saying, "Jim, you pick the movie. Jim, you pick the movie." I'm like, "You guys won't like the movies I pick." They're all like, "Yeah, but you're the filmmaker." I'm like, "You won't like it. Watch High School Musical 2 today."
Yep.
You're not gonna watch. So I made him watch Raimi's.
Drag Me to Hell.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just laughing, and at the end of it, everyone was like, "Everyone died. What?" And they were pissed off. And I told you, don't.
He's doing Doctor Strange, and I'm really fascinated to see because I'm gonna get too nerdy right here, but like the whole Multiverse of Madness is the movie title. Yeah. You know, it's supposed to be in a way.
I hear
a horror
they're
going to
bring in Toby.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like, there are horror
They
elements.
teased it.
That then bringing Sam Raimi, and he could theoretically.
You saw the hand that coming through the portal, and it was Toby's suit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't seen that? They have a picture of the concept picture of it, and in one of the portals, there's a hand of Spider-Man coming out, and it's the hand from Toby.
And they have another one where he just comes out and does the arm spin. It's like, oh, now we're talking.
The forgotten.
Speaking of that,
that's a great example of what happens when it gets away from you.
The directors of Spider-Verse.
They're making a second one?
Well, they also did the Lego movie. Sorry, I'm thinking of Phil. They're the writers. They did not direct. That's usually commonly Phil Lord and the guy that he usually works with, Lord and Miller. There it is. They're like what they do as well. They did the Lego movie.
Yeah, well, we're gonna run out of time if we don't get to it. But I just want to just really quickly plug a Amazon original TV show that's out that just came out, and if anyone loved it, it's the new one with the Al Pacino, Hunters.
I've heard about
And
that.
the reason why I have a personal connection is a very, very, very good friend of mine. You know Malcolm. And you guys remember you were real young when he moved back to New York. Friend Malcolm Sunsire is like the head set designer for Hunters. He usually works for Spike Lee, but he got this job and it's blowing up. And he's actually agreed to come on the show as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
George that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everyone, I'm watching people online, just like my friends going, "Oh my God, there's something." And I'm all like,
I've heard of good things from Hunters.
Yeah, and so he's another one that I've reached out to as well. So
we got to get them on.
Yeah.
I want to. Let's talk about the Coen Brothers first,
cool.
And then mine that I've suggested needs some airtime to kind of.
It's
explain.
got I'm actually there's.
Let's go with the Coen Brothers.
I'm not going to make any sense. I was just kept watching and I was just fascinated.
So I really enjoy the Big Lebowski. The whole like cultural phenomenon that it comes with it, I can see where it comes from. Like obviously I was young when this came out, but I like the dude and like all the quotes that have come from it as life. And then you get like all the classic quotes, and then you get
that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, right.
You're Lebowski. I'm the dude. I knew I'd like that movie because after all this.
John Goodwin.
All the stuff that happens, and then the first line, they throw his face in the toilet. "Where's the money, Lebowski?" And it just goes from there. But did you know that this movie was a huge disappointment?
Oh, absolutely.
When it came out.
Yeah.
It was the end of because after they had a good run of movies, this was the one that they thought, okay, this is the Coen Brothers. You've ruined your career with this movie. And originally it made no money at the box office, and it was a huge problem for the Coen Brothers at first because everyone just ignored it and they didn't get it.
Well, this was a hugely anticipated movie too, because we're talking it's 8 after Fargo.
Yeah.
And Fargo
and before that, Raising Arizona.
Yeah, and it's like, wow,
these
what
guys are the best.
Next, and
$46 million worldwide is what this movie made.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's after, what is it made in 98? So that's also after how many, because they'll have re-releases and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're talking only made
$46 million.
Yeah, that's nothing. I'll bet you the budget was probably close to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'd
probably a little less, but with you can never tell. But
advertisement.
But yeah, but then this movie, and I just don't think people understood it. And I'm footing to where now it's like it's got the whole following. It's almost like a religion to people.
Yeah, I mean,
just like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
If we talk about cult classics, I mean, it comes right in to me, the high cult created movies is that mid 90s period. I mean, that's where you get Pulp Fiction, which gets this weird like underground cult following.
Yeah.
But it falls right on the, right at the emergence of, and that's where the Big Lebowski kind of did see the second birth is, it doesn't do well in theaters.
That's really funny because another one of my favorites that got ignored was Cable Guy. Came out about the same time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like and people didn't understand it, and even now today when people
budget
that movie's
was $15
terrible,
million,
that movie's terrible, like because you just it's okay, you're wrong. Cable Guy is brilliant.
Yeah.
Big Lebowski is brilliant, and one of my favorite characters is Philip Seymour Hoffman as the little lynchy like just swarmy like assistant that's trying to deal with Lebowski because the other Lebowski doesn't want to. So 2 years later, me and my brothers are doing Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and we're geeking out. Like me and my brother Mike D are just completely geeking out over Big Lebowski and all the questions. And about that later. But if anyone that's heard before, he didn't really. At the time, didn't show us a lot of love because later I found out that's because he's such a character actor. His character didn't like us, so while we were on set, he didn't like us.
Fully in.
And so we just thought he was a jerk until the end when he came over. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. In contact, I was like, who the heck is this guy? But we would keep hitting him up with Big Lebowski questions. And he's like, that movie bombed. Like, how could you know so much about this movie? Nobody saw that movie. I did.
A lot. I think my favorite character in The Big Lebowski was Steve Buscemi's character. And the reason why
Donnie.
this movie...
Donnie?
This movie kind of resonates with me is because my roommates, when I first saw this, were these three people. One was the dude, the other one was Walter, and then the other one was
And if anyone hasn't seen
Donnie.
it really quick, basically run down The Big Lebowski's to basically the other Lebowski. It doesn't make sense, but it will when you watch it. His wife is gone missing, and he's supposed to handle action to get his wife back. Is basically what they hired him for.
And then literally nothing goes
Yeah,
right.
and it just and then he brings in his bowling partner friends who are insane to help him. And at every turn it goes wrong. I mean, every character in that movie, like even down to John Turturro's swarmy,
Jesus.
balls sweaty.
Oh, man.
the messy with the Jesus, and they almost
They're making a
spin. Yeah, I'm like I know they were thinking about.
I totally forgot about
yeah,
that.
but it's like that's every character all the way down to the voiceover guy. That's
Sam Elliott.
Yeah,
doing the
like,
voiceover.
Every character in that movie, even Tara Reid was good in this movie.
Yeah. Well, that's something that's really interesting. As we talk about Coen Brothers, I have a right, so that's something I really get sucked into. And you see this in The Big Lebowski more than you see it in any one of their films. The narrative is secondary. It's like the story, the actual plot. I mean, you just explained the plot.
Yeah,
and
and you're like, that sounds stupid.
It's about this stoner
it's
in
what
LA
it's about.
hired
A bowling team.
to pay a ransom.
Yeah.
It's not about the.
Nope.
That's totally secondary. It's
Yeah.
these characters and their movement within. That's just what I mean when they. We talk about John Turturro's Jesus. It's like, what is he? He doesn't give anything to the plot, but
And John Goodman's temper
oh my gosh,
when he beats the crap out of that Corvette.
Oh yeah,
This is what you get when you it just starts a kid's car.
I think John Goodman's and sorry
think
guys,
that's
this is gonna be
just him being
spoiler
John
alert.
Goodman. No,
25 years after.
That's why we like to talk
Yeah.
older movies rather than new movies because I can't talk about the new movie.
His little speech he does at Donnie's
Funeral and throws the ashes are in a Folgers
in
can.
The Folgers can. That's one of the brilliant
Yeah,
cinema
it just
moments.
ends in their
And
beards.
he goes off on the rant about Vietnam. And it's like, why are we bringing Vietnam
Yeah.
into this? You
Yeah.
know, it's
What
just
does it have
really,
to? What does it have to do about Vietnam?
Why wisdom?
Over the line.
But that's like they're this dialogue writing.
Yeah,
that the
him
Coens
pulling a
have.
gun on the dude because he stepped toe over the line on the.
Uh-huh.
Oh man,
it's just genius. And you really do Lebowski.
Yep.
Where it's they're not really concerned with what is the plot doing. I mean they're probably concerned with it, but it's not. If you're just looking at how are we getting from A to B, incredible thing that's happening, and it's just
So with that
genius.
being said, Brady, at any
Yep.
point you see another Coen Brothers movie, you
Mm-hmm.
come back and say, "Oh, I saw." We can talk about it. I highly suggest you see No Country for Old Men.
That's the number
that's
one.
the one
to
I
me.
need to check out.
And Fargo's on that. I mean, I could go through a bunch, but if I'm going to say, if anyone's Coen Brothers and don't know anything about the Coen Brothers and you want to know why they're so good and brilliant, go watch No Country for Old Men. I just want you to notice a few things when you watch it. There is very, very, very little music in the entire movie, none, and it's still very suspenseful, and it's still very they've been able to create all this feeling without manipulating it with music or. And it's
Which is so odd for a Coen Brothers movie because we talk about, their collaborations with like T-Bone Burnett. Music plays such a crucial part when they do. The Big Lebowski, like the soundtrack to that. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was.
Yeah, it was a soundtrack.
It was that. Yeah, that was like, and it's like, oh yeah, they love these big, these music.
The
pieces.
Soggy Bottom Brothers or whatever.
Yeah, the Soggy Bottom Brothers.
Or...
And then all of a sudden you see from and there's this haunting emptiness.
Well, if you look at all
it.
the slasher to build, this is basically, in my opinion, I think No Country for Old Men is a slasher film. It is a horror film. It is about a murderer that's going around killing people. Like if it in any other circumstance, it would have been categorized like Jaws.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Jaws. Is Jaws a horror film?
It's odd because it's a western,
It's
horror.
but they don't
that's
call
what
it.
It's about. It's I mean, when
And
you
no
strip it down
sound
to
to
its
do that.
part, it's about these
Harvey or
borderline
Bardem.
cowboys coming
Yeah.
to grips with the
Yep.
death of the West. And it is this cowboy flick. It's just set in late 70s,
now,
mid
but
80s. They
watch
make a
it.
comment.
Watch it.
All right.
Because we need to now turn
Talk.
our time to.
Casa Amor.
So the way that this one came up is
Exclusive
because
for ladies.
because of the Parasite movie.
Yep.
Brady said the only South Korean film I've ever seen has the same girl in it.
I didn't want to be like, I was like, I don't know. That makes me a little.
And then
racist
and then I pointed out the other South Korean films that in fact you have seen.
oh yeah,
Like
but
Snowpiercer
in South Korea, like it
Yeah.
speaks Korean.
And so he's like, so this is the only one I've ever seen, and she was in it. And I'm like, and he's like talking about what it was. And Jim, that's my challenge for you. And so of course you said, you even said, I know what this is, and so do all others. That's what you told me. And so when I'm watching this movie, I'm like, okay, so it's Brady and his fraternity brothers up in law, you perverts. And it's basically about this really, business oriented where they're all men except for this one woman, and she's the hard hitter and she's the up and comer, and someone sabotages her and releases, because it's called the Kids Toy Company. And so when she's doing her big premiere thing, she drops open the box and it is dildos just dropping and flopping and bouncing all over the table. And I went, yes.
That was about the moment I thought you guys were screwing with me. I was like watching this. I was like, this can't be the right movie. And I was like, there's no Korean Casa Amor on Amazon.
You're like,
it's got to be this one.
I'm invested this far.
This is their test. Like, did he actually watch the movie? If I come in, like, yeah, it was
the
wonderful.
the music is over the top cheesy.
oh yeah,
It's basically a story of these women that really they turn, because her neighbor sex basically store. And she with her business
adult toy
savvy turns it into it's this big thing, and she has to kind of keep it quiet from her husband and all the other issues that come along with it. But it's basically about these women that orgasms and they got to be okay with it. And they were talking about it to where it was like, when anybody would say, oh, you can't do that, it was just like why not? Why can't it? And then to even this men organization, you find out is ran by a woman is in charge. And they're trying to shut him down at one point, and the woman comes in. She goes like, "No, I think it's great that she's back again." It's really an empowering story of these women that are making and selling and killing it, selling sex toy objects. It fixes relationships. By the end of it, everyone's happy. And it wraps up in a nice little story.
You know what my favorite part of that movie is?
What?
Is when the man, the husband, starts crying.
Because he's not getting none.
No, because he's so.
Oh yeah, because it turns from them all the men being really upset because none of their wives are too busy for them.
Yeah.
And then it turned into now the wives have found something and they're all like,
the time.
I can't move my legs. I can't walk. No, they're all. Then they start having my winter panties. They start it just got. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then of course that scene when they're at the convention and they're all beautiful women and they're all very proud and they're doing this weird chair sit squat thing. You know what I mean? That's and the husband. That's when he finally comes in and sees what his wife's been doing. And he, culturally or whatever, he thinks, at first it's oh, so it wasn't me, that's where all the sex came from. These are the things you didn't ever love me. You needed those things and like that. And just the imagery of it, of her jumping off this thing to go try to run after her husband.
It's literally,
and of course it's raining.
I'm so glad we're talking about this because I am dying over
and
it.
The music's bad. The acting's a little cheesy, but
a little cheesy,
but I liked it. I really liked it, and I liked the characters, and I liked I liked the message behind it.
Right? Okay. Honestly, I want to hear what you have to say.
So I've got my notes in front of me. I'm a write down everything kind of person. I've written down is. Not sure how I felt about acting. It's just the very interesting thing about this. Everything was dialed to an 11.
It was
tongue
in cheek.
Yeah, everything is. And the acting, the best thing I compare it to is it almost has Saturday Night Live, Mad TV level of like,
But-
we just got the
But they're-
script and just go.
Yeah,
Just-
but they for it too.
yeah, they did. I mean,
They
credit
stayed
to them.
there.
And you brought up the music of it.
It was bad. Like even like I mean, production value wise, it was like you could find public domain.
Yeah,
and they had someone make that for them.
but there, I mean, maybe this is me giving them to it. It seemed very purposeful. Like
Right?
every like it is, and as people are listening to this, they're
It had to be.
This is an insane idea for a movie. It is an insane idea
Yeah.
for a movie.
It's so
Especially
great.
in South
But they
Korea.
need- yeah, exactly. But they need to. It's like, well, this is kind of an over the top story.
Women aren't supposed to be even empowered, let alone talking about their orgasms.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brady,
But
I just
sitting
want to
back on it-
thank you for
enlightening
Like, it's-
you.
you bringing me on that
I will
ride.
always remember it. It's one of those movies. What even if I liked it or didn't like it, just the fact of what it was about, and I will always remember this film forever.
Well,
and now to put you in my perspective, I'm going to see Parasite.
About time.
seen
No, I have
Parasite?
to. No, like I'm dialing it back to like December.
okay.
I'm going to see Parasite for the first time. The only other South Korean, I don't even know if like Parasite is this. I just know it's an Asian-made movie, and I go into seeing it, and I'm sitting there, and then the wife shows up, and all of a sudden, all these memories of watching this movie start coming back into my mind. I'm like, this,
Which is because I know this is gonna sound bad, but I think they're very gorgeous, but I also think Korean women look a lot like, especially when they're, because those 5 women, when they're dressed up in the same outfits and with their hair the same way and everything, they look a lot alike. There's not like I can go, okay, that one's and that one's, but so it's hard. So the fact that you could at a glance go, that's the chick from the dildo movie. Like,
I'm just picturing you exclaiming that in the theater, like everybody's real sucked into Parasite.
yeah,
Hey, from the dildo movie.
dildos.
People are like,
this guy. Yeah, obviously you're not well versed in your South Korean flicks, peasants. Go watch Casa Amor and then go watch Parasite. Obviously, one's better.
Yeah,
than
you
the
can't
other.
watch Parasites if you haven't seen Casa Amor.
awesome step.
That's
So-
hilarious.
Well, like the thing I really liked about Casa Amor, I've always kind of felt this way with movies. There's no idea, or there's no such thing as a bad idea for
Yeah.
a movie. There just isn't. I've seen some things where I'm like, what was that pitch meaning? It gets brought up all the time. And it was like Lion King. Like someone's like, guys, Hamlet,
but with
with
lions.
cartoon lions.
With
You know,
lions.
it's like they're like, I love it. Like imagine with a pitch meaning for
Well,
something like,
I say the same thing about Joe.
yeah, what was that pitch meaning?
You know, like I want to do a movie about little Nazis trying to be the best little Nazis they can be.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what?
Well,
and his imaginary friend is Hitler. What?
When I
That's
went and saw
Taika Waititi,
JoJo,
so
like
okay.
doing like in that very very first scene where they're doing the high, like he's trying to teach him how to.
Yeah, like, that's
I was
not
just
the Heil Hitler.
Who greenlit this?
That's no
I'm like,
Heil.
Someone's like, yeah, I love it. Let's do
Throw
it.
it away. Try it again.
But there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's only bad execution.
Well, that's what it could have very easily been that movie,
yeah.
but because of his touch and the fact that he can make the big movies, because when he turned from a story of fun to where the kid starts, his little Jewish girlfriend is, you know, his little fat friend, by the way, is he's like, she's basically my girlfriend now. He's all like,
A
that's
girlfriend,
great,
good for
Jojo.
you, Jojo.
and then it turns into,
Back
and then he finds
then.
his mom. And all of a sudden, then everything starts blowing up around him, and it goes from like this kid who is in this little world to all of a sudden he's in the middle of now. It got very real, and it's a war zone all of a sudden. And it's like that just shows his range. Story, great idea to all of a sudden kick you in the face with his. I'm not going to give it away too much, but then and then all of a sudden he's in a freaking war zone, and you show how he can make Thor Ragnarok, and it's like I was like.
We had a professor at UVU who was, I mean, this guy was very old, but he was in Hitler's youth. So
It makes sense.
And like talking about him,
You
it
can't
wasn't
talk
like,
about
he
that.
wasn't like, oh yeah, he was like, yeah, it was like going to scout camp. Like it was just me and my friends.
You
hanging
did what
out,
you could.
playing-
Everyone in Germany that was born during that people, like, so there, some people just had to live their lives, and that's what you did. Is you were
and to see Taika like illustrate that, like no, like understand like what this was.
Yeah.
This isn't, you know. But yeah, it's
There's still
brilliant
people.
execution. It's
Close.
Yep, I know. That's what I was going to say. I'm ready for my challenge.
Challenge. Okay.
What you got? You're pointing at me. You got a point.
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys.
Oh, that's your movie.
Ryan Gosling,
Oh,
and
Ryan
Russell Crowe.
Gosling and Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I actually like. He's also did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and yes, we can put that on an I'm giving chance.
I don't know that one. I was expecting you to give me another like creepy.
True Romance is a Scott film, Tony Scott film. Ridley's brother, the one that ended up
1993.
jumping off the bridge. But it is one of Quentin Tarantino's first scripts. And he sold the killer one with
Natural Born
Killers. Now they ruined his Natural Born Killers, and Oliver Stone did his thing to it. But True Romance stayed very true, and because of True Romance's success and him selling it, he was able to get his Reservoir Dogs, which they tried to take as well. But he said, "I want to direct," and so he's like, that's why his budget was so small. That okay, so he got to make Reservoir Dogs because of his writing, and especially because of True Romance.
Awesome.
If I can go back retroactively, we talked about filmmakers are great.
Yeah.
Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Like, he's been kind of overshadowed by what he's done.
Because
But
you're a big
Tony
Top Gun
Scott-
fan?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And, like, he's just one of those, he's just like a problem solver.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
you know what happened to Tony Scott?
I don't.
He walked up to a bridge one day and jumped off it.
Yep.
Told everyone he had some disease, and he said told everyone he was dying, but they can't find where he went to the hospital or any proof behind it. Showed up at a bridge one day and jumped off it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But fantastic.
Well, on that
filmmaker.
note,
No, it's good as thank you guys for showing up.
yeah, thank you.
Do you
Thank
mind if I
you.
plug for just a second?
Yeah, plug.
So the movie is All Hallows Day Eve. Trailers dropping this week.
Ooh,
if you guys go to allhallowsdayeve.com.
We'll put a link on it on our
Yeah.
page as well.
Yeah, or you can follow me on Instagram. I'm US President 2K40. It's an old high school joke.
Well, you got some time.
I'm Jimmy.
I do
I'm
plenty of
Jimmy
time.
Smooth.
Yeah, even if it happens, like I've already got the domains all there. But yeah, you can either follow me on Instagram or allhallowsdayeve.com. We'll have a trailer dropping this week. Check it out.
Perfect.
Enjoy.
Excellent. No, I look forward to it.
Thanks.
No, man, that was a lot of fun.
Nick.
Anyways, we're out of here. Thanks.